Hey everyone, so in today's video I'm going to show you how I achieve these glitter box braids step by step. So if you're interested in these videos, continue watching. I usually like to start off with sectioning my client's hair just because it makes it easier for the braiding foundation and just to know how many braids I'm going to make. I highly recommend sectioning out your pieces of hair just because it will save you a lot of time when it comes down to doing any kind of braiding, box braids, cornrows, whatever. When you're adding extensions, this is a big help and time saver. Here's a close look of the tinsel that I will be using today, adding inside the braids. I will say that it was a little difficult to braid with, but once I got a few braids out the way, it became easier for me. But the tinsel is very fragile, so it will break and rip as you braid in. So you have to try to be as fragile as possible, and you'll see throughout the video as I'm braiding with it. I believe 8 packs came in one. I will leave everything in the description box below if you want to order. I started my two first rows off camera, but I will show you in real time me braiding with the tinsel. And I did not add as much tinsel as I could have starting, but I will add more in the rest. As I mentioned before, I do prefer doing pre-parting. I just feel like it helps me with saving time with braiding, and these are box braids. So right here, I'm going to show you guys in real time how I do my braid with the tinsel. As you can see, I have a few boxes that I have pre-parted, and I'm just going to take my piece of hair that I'm going to be braiding with. And with the tinsel, I didn't have a specific amount of strands that I was using. I just grabbed a few pieces and I just mixed them in between the braiding hair. And I try to do this as careful as possible because, as I mentioned earlier, the tinsel is pretty fragile, so it does easily rip. As far as my braiding method goes, I don't have a specific way of box braiding. It's pretty much self-explanatory, but I will say that I had to take my time and braid a little slower than usual just because, again, as I mentioned, the tinsel was very, it was really thin, so it kept ripping, it kept snapping in half. So when I was braiding, after the first braids I did do, I noticed that I couldn't braid as fast as usual because it would make more of me ripping the tassel. This also making this hairstyle a little longer than usual. I do also add a few more pieces as I go throughout the hair with the braiding, just because I wanted to add as much of the glitter effect as possible. So I also will be adding hair in, adding more tinsel in, as you can see here as I'm braiding. I'm not sure if you guys can see too. Some of the braids, when we started in the back, my client didn't know exactly how she wanted the tinsel. So we started doing skip one, do one, skip one, do one. And that's why you see some of these braids actually in the back, they don't have tinsel in it because we were starting that kind of pattern. But as I got towards more of the middle and up into her head, we decided just to put the tinsel throughout all of the braids, so it has more of that glittery effect throughout her head. So it's pretty much repetitive with the steps as far as adding the tinsel to the braiding hair. Like I said, I like to mix it up in between each other as if you was mixing, if you had colored hair and you wanted to blend. That's the word I was looking for, blend. So I'm basically just blending in the hair, going piece by piece, just mixing it around so it can show. Whether she flips it up, flips this side, the glitter will show. And I start to add in more tinsel as I go as well, because you wanted to use as much tinsel for a nice effect with lighting, low lighting, and you'll see that throughout the video. And I also want to mention that this styles, actually I did this in April, but I did not get a chance to put out the footage, so I'm doing it now. And my client actually still has these braids in, so it's held up pretty good. The tinsel breaks and kind of rips within you braiding. Like I told you, it is fragile, so this is what it looks like. So be mindful with that. You're just gonna have to cut like you would do regularly with the flyaways, just because the tinsel will be snapping. For my parting method, I don't have a real specific parting method. As I showed you earlier, I did pre-part, and then I just kind of go around, and then as I get to the top, as you can see up here, it's kind of like in a U circular kind of a motion, and then it kind of just drops from there. So this is what the parting for the top looks like, and she's going to be getting a middle part. I usually prefer greasing and oiling my client's scalps after I'm done with their braids, but for this client specifically, her scalp is a little more dry and sensitive, so I actually put the grease first, and then I put the jam after, before I start to do my parting for the braids. Once I'm done with the braids, I'm going to just prep before I do the curling. So I'm just going to cut away all the flyaways from the braiding hair from the tinsel. As I showed you earlier, a lot of the tinsel sticks out, so you want to make sure that you cut all that away so it's not poking you or your client or whoever hair you do for the style. And then I'm just going to take a small perm rod and I'm going to wrap that around. I'm not going to go all the way up because you're just doing the ends and her braids are pretty long. They're kind of past her butt. And I'm also going to let you guys know that the perm rod didn't really work for me as far as the curls coming out the way I wanted to. So I will show you further in the video me changing the perm rods, and I'm going to actually use flexi rods to make a better curl pattern. So for the hot water, I'm just focusing more on the ends of the hair. I'm not going to dip all of her braids. Now I'm finishing her hair off with some mousse. This helps just set anything as far as flyaways that I probably might have missed with clipping, and also it helps with the tightness, just soothing the top of her hair and just making the foundation of her hairstyle just flatter. And here's the final look. She loved her hair. I love how this came out. I wasn't a fan of the curls, but I'm going to recurl that and you'll see that in a few. But just look at the effect once you do the low lighting. I definitely love how this style came out for it being my first time. I would definitely try this again. I will say for my first time, it was time consuming just because I was having trouble with the tinsel, but it was worth every hour that I did on this hairstyle. Let me know what you guys think about this hairstyle in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not already, and share this to your friends. And I wanted to show you guys how I recurled the ends the next day. As I said, I didn't like how the curls came out with the perm rods, so I used flexi rods instead, and I just did the same thing. I just wrapped them around a little tighter. I used less sections this time, and then I just dipped it in the water, blow dried it. Here are the final results. I love how the curls came out the second time. It came out really good with the flexi rods. I would definitely say use flexi rods for a better spiral kind of a curl. If you want wavy, then I'll probably say to use the perm rods. Thanks if you made it this far for the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for some more videos. Later, guys.